The third item of the most important work to be done is to speak again to the world, the eternal word, under a new form adapted to its present mentality. We recall here what Sri Aurobindo speaks in the first chapter of the Synthesis of Yoga, the 4/8, in which he speaks of the Shastra, the revealed word, which is given form in human language and which needs to be renewed time and again, because though the ensoling truth is always the same, the clothing, the words in which the knowledge is given is usually suited to the age in which and to which it is spoken. So there arises, after centuries, an occasion or a need to restate the knowledge in a form suited to the understanding of the contemporary mind of humanity. So, here she says, we have to speak again the eternal word, the word of God, which always is vibrant with the saving knowledge. But it has to be in a new form adapted to its present mentality. If you look at the scriptures of the world, you will see how incongruous they seem in some of their portions to the present day mind, rational mind, a scientific mind, a mind formed by the technological spirit. Certain things do look out of date, out of relevance, and of questionable wisdom. That's because the form in which things have been presented has ceased to be relevant. So today, we have to speak in a language and in terms that responds to the mentality of the age in which we live. Some of you would recall Sri Aurobindo's observation. When somebody spoke of the 3 volumes of Life Divine, he had earlier referred how the spiritual experience gets limited, shorn out of its spirit when put in intellectual terms, when put in philosophical language. Then someone referred to the 3 volumes of Life Divine that he had written. So they said, yes, I had to write those volumes because I had to present my experience. He didn't say knowledge, my experience to the modern mind. And the modern mind is a rational mind. So, there has come the life divine, which is a very rational presentation of his spiritual experience. We can't be dogmatic. We can't say God has said so, Scripture Veda has said so. It must appeal to the mind, to the open mind, if we want it to be accepted. And she says, it will be the synthesis of all human knowledge. The word as presented in the modern terms should be a synthesis of all human knowledge. It will not be something eclectic, not something selective, but the cream of the knowledge gathered by the human mind till now. You leave out no essential gain of knowledge, but take care to synthesize every bit of perennial value in the word that you present, the word of knowledge. It has to cover essentially the main parts of the human thought as it has developed, and of course indicate the lines on which it is going to develop or promises to develop. Looked at from that point of view, from this point of view, the major works of Sri Aurobindo and the ideas, the concepts scattered in the extensive talks of Mother that are being collected today in so many volumes, they do represent the acme of human knowledge gathered till now. Not only summing up of the knowledge garnered so far, but also new dimensions have been added, showing where this current of knowledge is leading. And that has been possible because, as my teacher once observed to me in an aside, Sri Aurobindo represents the highest evolved mind in the world. Not only the highest, but the most comprehensive. The next item, collectively, to establish an ideal society in a propitious spot for the flowering of the new rays, the rays of the sons of God. Here she draws special attention to the collective aspect of the endeavor. It is not enough for individuals to chalk out their own path, to develop their individual consciousness, but a collectivity is necessary. It goes without saying that a collectivity is not indispensable where the goal is individual salvation. As in the traditional yogas, where it is a personal mukti, a collectivity can be a hindrance, where you have to associate yourself with those around you. For this world negating spirituality, an ashram, a collective society is irrelevant. But for a teaching which is aimed at the whole of humanity, which seeks to nurture and develop a collective consciousness in a particular direction, a collective society is necessary. And this society is not something organized, planned in great detail and set up, as say a factory is done or an organization, educational institution is set up. This is a society, a collective society. It is something that grows. You start with the nucleus of a core of seekers who have a common ideal. And as they build up a certain collective seeking and consciousness, it acts as a magnetic field, drawing inspiration and spiritual strength, sustenance from the higher planes of existence. And as the society gets a body, it attracts those who are ready or getting ready elsewhere. So it is a kind of an organic growth with a purpose, not planned, not executively organized, but growing. And that is how Mother looked upon this ashram as a potential ideal society. Nobody ever thought that this is an ideal society. We are individually far from being ideal individuals. And the collectivity always reflects the grade of consciousness that is generally prevalent among the constituent members. But it is something that grows, that changes, that undergoes modifications. What is important is that the aspiration, which is at the foundation, the basis of the society, has to be kept up. And this central seeking, urge, aspiration is kept alive always by a few, a core of sadhaks. Whatever the common level of the generality, their behavior, their way of living does not form the essential nature of the society. A few individuals committed, dedicated, keeping alive the flame, make all the difference. So, when you look to see what is the health of the ashram, it is not the large numbers, whether they belong to the ashram or not, or whether they are crowding here. That's not determining the character. Are there a few individuals who, by their surrender and exertions, inner exertion, contributing to the raising of consciousness or not? I was struck at one time by the answer given by Nalinikanta Gupta to someone who asked him, will this ashram continue? And how will it continue? He thought for a while and said, as long as there is one sadhak keeping up the flame, doing earnest sadhana, the ashram has to continue. Sri Aurobindo and the mother will see to it that the ashram continues. It has never left me ever since I heard it. It is true. And that is the virtue of a collective society. The core, the soul, that matters. It is intended to be a propitious spot for the flowering of the new race. A new race, not a new generation. People like me have been here. We have been seeing 2-3 generations. This is the 4th generation. But it is a new race. A new race is something that lives by a new consciousness. It has a new set of values. It has new horizons. It has new ways of functioning. That is a new race. Material affluence, intellectual development, these do not constitute the newness of a race. But something totally different in the very structure of the individuals constituting the race. That's the new race. And Mother expects that a collective society like this should be a nucleus of what Sri Aurobindo envisages in the Life Divine, the last two chapters, as the Gnostic society. A Gnostic society is one which has reached the highest levels, rungs of the spiritual ladder of existence, forming a kind of a bridge between the humanity, general humanity as it has developed, and the new creation of truth consciousness that is to manifest. A Gnostic society is a kind of a bridge. The highest levels of the Gnostic society constitute what Mother came to call the intermediate race. The intermediate race is that layer of humanity which has reached the highest possible perfection possible to the human being, and is being acted upon by a supra-terrestrial force, for us the supramental. This intermediate race is not a transformed race. It is a race which has reached that level of highest perfection possible for a being born in the normal human way, and therefore carrying still certain obstinate ingredients of the inconscient, but open at the top, open at the summits to the direct action of the supramental consciousness. And it is this intermediate race that is expected to create conditions, to build up an atmosphere and a climate in which a supramental being can manifest, not only manifest, but function. If a supramental being were to manifest today in the existing imperfect conditions, it would not work. The earth as it is not able to support a supramental being. It is a race of the intermediate beings who have to build up the conditions in which a supramental being can manifest and live. A collective society like this has to aspire to grow into a Gnostic society, the highest ladder of which will be the intermediate race. The question of time is not strictly relevant in matters like this, which spread across aeons, ages, and to speak of the supramental manifestation taking place in 30 years and 40 years is a bit childish. It is an eternal truth, and the span of the preparation, of receptivity is quite long. But what has been done has given a fillip to the preparatory conditions for the eventual manifestation of the supramental being. That's the point when Sri Aurobindo says, when on the, I think December 7th, he left his body on the 5th, and Mother succeeded in contacting him on the 7th, I believe, and she told him to come back, that she would resuscitate. She had that technique. As you know, she was a master of spiritual occultism, and she could have asked him to come back, but he firmly said no. And he said, I will come back only in the first supramental body. The question of time never arose. A supramental body can come when conditions are ready to support a supramental body on earth. And for that, a number of collective societies will have to work. One ashram alone will not work, will not do the job. All over the world, units or unities will have to spring up, embodying this effort to go beyond the mind, to articulate the readiness of the soul. And these islands of light are expected one day to join in large circles, preparing for the new world. But everything has to start with the first step. And the first step that the mother has attempted is here, an ideal society, in a propitious spot for the flowering of the new race, the race of the sons of God. Eventually, unfortunately, the reference to the sons of God gave birth to a premature and suicidal thinking of elitic thinking, that we are the elite of the world, whether here in the ashram or in the extension of the ashram somewhere else. This spirit of elitism has been the bane of real spiritual progress. Instead of humility, which is the hallmark of true spiritual life, the sense of superiority, privileged race, and that too prematurely, is a kind of undoing of the high ideals with which such an experiment is conducted. So the sons of God is a matter of the future, though individually. Each one who develops that consciousness of being a child of God and functions in that spirit, he is a son of God. But sons of God is more difficult. The idea of the Son of God is as old as Jesus Christ's teaching. Kingdom of heaven, Son of God, Father and Son. Well, these are eternal truths which have been narrowed in their implications and put to wrong use. It should be the aspiration of each one of us to be a child of God. When you speak of being a child of God, the breath of elitism is not there, but it is the spirit of humility. We will continue next time.